Sneakers and Cleats, the podcast. Welcome back to the Sneakers and Cleats podcast. It's Friday, October 27th. This is episode 42. That's Zack Hedrick. I'm Matt Roy. Busy week in sports in Texas.
A little bit, yeah.
We got almost the sports equinox going on here.
Almost. Is it going to happen on Monday?
I think so, yeah. I think we got hockey, NFL, basketball, and baseball all on Monday.
And that's pretty much it.
That's
I
the
guess.
equinox.
It'll be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday because it won't happen on the weekend.
We got like the half equinox on Tuesday because the Phillies and Diamondbacks were playing, but we didn't have NFL. We had college football. We had Conference USA, so we had like the half equinox, I guess.
Kind of. I mean, I guess we can count it.
Yeah.
It's rare, but
it's all good. We'll count it. But yeah, a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, Rangers in the World Series, Cowboys coming back from their bye week, Wemby mania in full swing now. Finally got to see him on the court. But as always, we will start with the number game. This is probably our easiest one that we'll ever have. Number 42. There is only one.
Yeah. Jackie Robinson
Jackie
in discussion.
Robinson.
That's it. Kind of like almost like Gail Sayers.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's only one. How bad do you feel though for Mariano Rivera? Like no one's ever gonna remember that he was 42. He's just best closer in the game.
I think so. I mean, people will remember him, but he was grandfathered in to wearing that number. But I mean, sure, Jackie Robinson's career played 10 years. Went to 6 World Series, won 1 for the Dodgers, the Brooklyn Dodgers back then. But also too, I mean, Jackie's my guy because I remember doing a book report on him back in elementary school, dressed up, had my Dodger blue on and everything, so I read that autobiography back then, have the copy now and still read it. And just his life is so amazing, being in the Army, a second lieutenant commissioned officer and everything, of course, the court martial and everything, but was acquitted of all that. And it's because he stood up for what he believed in back then. That's what he did after his career and everything. Did so much. He was a businessman, doing chock full of nuts, but also founding a bank in Harlem. And I mean,
absolutely,
his life is fascinating.
Yeah, breaking the color barrier. I mean, there's only 142. There's a reason that his numbers retired
all
in
through
all of baseball.
Yep.
I mean, that's a rare air to be in. It's not Babe Ruth. It's not any of those guys. It's Jackie Robinson retired. So, props to Mariano though, best closure in the game.
No, well, and he's probably number 2 on the list of 42. If you would ask me,
honestly, I didn't even look. I was just like Jackie Robinson, and that's it.
Jackie's great. I mean, I always just love reading about him and just what he stood for, and just kind of how he, it's not that he was stubborn. I mean, yes, he was. I'm sure at times and everything, but he would still listen to people and take in their. Okay, what's your viewpoint? And, he would engage in dialogue with people that disagreed with him. So,
yeah, no, he was not enough can be said about him. And then props to also Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace, for playing him in the movie. So let's get to today's lineup. So like we said, a lot going on. Cowboys at the Rams in Jerry World on Sunday. We got Zach's Rangers taking on the Diamondbacks starting tonight. We got UTSA playing East Carolina, and some different things going on in the UTSA kind of funding aspect of it that I wanted to chat with a little bit. We got Longhorns playing a scrappy BYU team in Kedon Slovis with Quinn Ewers out. But first, obviously, we have to talk about the 7'4" elephant in the room. The Wemby era started on Wednesday. We'll see him again tonight. Obviously, this is kind of a weird scheduling thing where the Rockets are playing in Frostbank Center for like the 3rd time in the last 11 days. 2 of those in the preseason. Wemby's debut, he had 23 minutes, 15 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, 5 turnovers. Those 23 minutes pretty much because of foul trouble on Wednesday. He almost led the team to a comeback win in the 4th quarter, though, until Luka started being Luka and really solidified that win. But were you encouraged, discouraged, kind of in the middle on the debut on Wednesday?
You have to be encouraged. I mean, sure, the foul trouble, that's one thing, but that's going to happen. At shoot-around today, I think Zach Collins mentioned that, where it's just kind of like, it's an adjustment period. Like, yeah, he's going to learn, but also the refs are seeing something new that they haven't seen the first time. They're seeing a 7'4" guy move on the court, and it's like, yeah, this is going to be an adjustment period for everybody. But really encouraged, especially that stretch that he had in the fourth quarter coming in around the 7-minute mark. And then I think he scored like 9 straight points or something like that, where he really kind of took over the game a little bit. Like you said, looked like he was going to lead him to a comeback win. So it's going to be really exciting to see now, as far as the Rockets playing them for the third time in the, however, like 2 weeks, whatever the span is, preseason, regular season, different kind of energy. Keldon talked about that today. Yeah, sure, we played them, we know them, but preseason and regular season, 2 completely different energies and gamesmanship levels and everything.
Yeah, it was just kind of weird to gauge how Wemby adjusted and how the whole Spurs team adjusted to the regular season, because like you couldn't get a flow, you couldn't get a rhythm. Like every single time he was on the floor, it was 3 minutes, and then a foul happened, and so they had to pull him back out.
Right.
So it was kind of a killjoy, to be honest with you, with the nationally televised game and all the eyes on San Antonio. I think it was like 2.7 million views on ABC or ESPN or whatever network it was on.
Most watched opening night game in 11 years.
Yeah, like
Wemby effect.
That's the draw, and you have the refs that just took over with some ticky-tack fouls and stuff. Like, they were fouls.
Sure, yes. No, not discounting that. Yeah.
Not discounting that they were fouls, but I mean, come on. Like, let's just let them play a little bit, you know what I mean? But it was kind of hard to gauge how Wemby was adjusting and how the team is going to look all season because of that foul trouble.
Right. And sure, frustrating on that point, and frustrating for him, obviously. I think you could kind of tell that in his post-game comments, just kind of like, yeah, just couldn't get into a flow, but handled it well. It's a learning experience. It's a learning experience for that entire team because, it's like, yeah, we've played together. We practiced during the summer, but in a game, it's an entirely different situation. So they're finding themselves, and, it's going to pick up, I'm sure.
And you finally got to see, like, him free up a little bit when he did switch to the 5, when he did jump center a little bit in the fourth quarter. He was against Derek Lively. You kind of saw like how he can take advantage of those bigger guys instead of playing against guys like Grant Williams, who he was matched up against throughout his first like 16 minutes when he was in foul trouble. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how Pop sees that and adjusts and kind of figures out, okay, maybe we do play him at center every now and then just so he can play against those bigger Rudy Gobert's or Nikola Jokic's or Derek Lively's who are pretty big dudes and athletic, but nowhere near as skilled or agile as Victor is.
It's all fluid right now.
Yeah.
The first 10, 15 games, they're going to be moving pieces around and, okay, who's progressing and what we're asking them to do, who needs a little bit more work, that sort of thing. So it's all experimentation right now. I mean, yes, you want to win games as early as possible, and they will. So it's going to be fun watch tonight.
Yeah, the only thing that I thought that starting lineup lacked was a little bit of outside shooting. Like Devin is a really good knockdown 3-point shooter. Keldon can shoot on occasion. Wemby can shoot on occasion. Obviously, his first 4 shots were from 3-point range. Mm-hmm. But you kind of need that 45% 3-point shooter in your starting lineup sometimes. Like the old Spurs had Danny Green or, whoever, insert 3-point shooter here. To stretch the floor. It didn't look like there's a knockdown 3-point shooter. I mean, Shohan obviously can't really be that guy right now either.
Yeah, and I don't, maybe they'll find that person. I don't know. Devin really started off hot. I mean, they ended the first quarter with 43 points, and that was the most that they scored in the first.
Ridiculous.
So, it wasn't for lack of being able to shoot the ball. Devin Vassell is going to be he's after Wemby. He's the most guy that I'm interested in watching and just seeing what his season's going to look like and everything. With that big lineup, it's like, but even Zach Collins, I mean, I see him practice the 3-ball at practice every time I'm there. So it's like they have guys that can do it. Now, it would be nice to have a guy that's close to that 50% clip, because then it's like, it's a real shooting threat. We can't leave that guy alone. But, that's not, to me, it doesn't seem like the Spurs' approach to get that one guy that they rely on. It's the whole team, and it's the beautiful game of just moving the ball around and finding the open guy.
I do like Trey Jones coming off the bench, though. He brought a really good energy whenever he came into the game. He was just kind of bringing the energy is for lack of a better term. He was bringing everything that they needed off the bench.
And that's what Pop said that exact same thing after the game. It was just, he's a winner, and that's what we're looking for coming off the bench is that kind of, spark plug. And I really like. I felt like almost we never do know what Pop is saying to the guys on the bench and stuff.
Right.
But whenever you saw Trey make a full court pass or a 3/4 court pass down to the other end, to the offensive end, you saw him like turn to Jeremy and it's almost kind of like, hey, look. That's what you need to do as a point guard. You need to be having your head up and surveying the floor and pushing the ball, so then that way we can, get out and run.
Yeah, exactly. And you kind of see how deep this team's going to be, too. Malachi Branham played a lot. Bassie played a lot. But that might have been just because Wemby was in foul trouble and Zach Collins and stuff like that. Chetty Osman played a lot. Doug McDermott played a lot. You have guys like Julian Champagny and Barlow and Blake Wesley that didn't even play, and those are guys who we think can get a good little run in mid-season when you need that depth. So you see the depth of this team as well when you have the guys like that who didn't even touch the court.
Right. I think Julian Champagny of the names that you mentioned, he's probably first off that list to get in there.
For sure.
Dom and Blake, they'll still need some more time. They're going to get their minutes, eventually, like you said, because of just the depth issue. But, again, it's early. It's game 1 of 82. We got game 2 tonight. So I'm really interested to see what he does for his encore performance.
Yeah, and you have Devontae Graham, who's suspended by the league right now. He'll come back and probably get a little bit of run every now and then.
That could be your 3-point guy that you're asking for, who's, just waiting on the wing or in the corner. And just the sharpshooter.
Yeah, and the best thing about having these nationally televised games and having so many eyeballs on the Spurs and on Wemby is because the other guys get that attention too. I don't think anybody realized how much of a bucket Devin Vassell is until you get 2.7 million eyes on him, and you're like, okay, wow, he actually is really good. Which is one of the smartest things that the Spurs did all offseason was re-signing him before you have all these nationally televised games. So now he's locked in, and people are like, damn, he's a bargain at what they got him for.
Yeah, and we saw it last season too. You never saw him play with anybody else because they were when he was on the floor, Keldon was not, and it was kind of frustrating. I'm sure from a fan standpoint, you want to see your guys play together, but now that he's fully healthy and he's playing with other guys, it's going to be fun to see what he can do. And of course, just give the ball to Victor, let him draw 2 or 3 guys, and then feed it to Devin.
Yeah, and it's going to be weird when you look at the stat sheet like we did on Wednesday, and your top leading 3-point shooter was Victor Wembanyama at 7'4". So it's always it's going to take a while to just adjust to looking at stat lines too.
Yeah, got it. And from everything that I'm hearing from like all the national, just great looking shot, and just so he's translated. It's going to take some time. There's a learning curve still, but he's going to be quick on the uptake.
Yeah, there was nothing more annoying Thursday morning though than waking up and looking at whatever insert talk show here and the headline or lower third reading GOAT status and like, is he like, can we all just stop with this putting Wemby?
You know how that works.
But it's
Come
so
on.
dumb.
I know.
Like,
I'm right there with you. No, it's
the most tired and easy take you can have is like just having a GOAT conversation after the dude's first game.
Well, yeah. I mean, I kind of blame social media and phone culture, for that, because it's, everybody wants to be kind of the first to say it and stuff. And now it's just, it's one game of however many he's going to play, hopefully thousands of games, it's who knows. But yeah, it is frustrating, but it's like, let's wait and see.
Yeah.
The Spurs don't want to skip any steps. We don't need to skip any steps either.
It's just so tired. I woke up and I was like, LeBron's in his 21st year and we're still debating if he's the GOAT. Can we all just chill for a little bit? Like, dude had 15 points. He has about 39,000 to go until he gets to LeBron. He's got thousands of assists and thousands of blocks and everything. Let's just chill. I wanted to be like Aaron Rodgers. Just RELAX. Relax. All right, let's get to the World Series. Astros, or excuse me, I put Astros and Rangers. I meant Diamondbacks. I meant Diamondbacks and Rangers. Leading off tonight, Friday. This is Friday at Globe Life. It's going to be 7:03 first pitch. It's going to be Eovaldi against Zach Gallen.
Great pitching matchup.
It's going to be a good series.
Yeah.
I don't like this whole narrative that's going around right now as well. That's like the Diamondbacks don't deserve to be here, because it's like, well,
No,
they
it's
just
BS.
beat the second best team in the NL.
Yeah.
They have smoked everybody in their way. They beat the team that's pretty much built for the postseason in the Phillies, taking both games in Philly to get here. It's like they deserve to be here just as much as anybody else.
When you beat the defending National League champs twice on the road in their place, you deserve. Third all-time matchup of both wild card teams making it. I think it is, third World Series that we've had this happen. People will make all the, talk of, it's the lowest win total between these, whatever. They got here, they made it. It's two teams we're going to see. I think the D-backs, they're really going to play some small ball. Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte are guys that are really make the engine room go for them. Christian Walker's a big bat for the D-backs, but both these teams play great defense. They've got some good starting pitching. The D-backs bullpen has really come on for them, especially in this last month and during this postseason run, obviously. So it's a pretty even matchup between these two. Just looking at it on paper, I'm going to give us and it's not a homer thing. I'm just saying you give maybe a slight edge to the Rangers offensively.
Oh, for sure.
When you're looking at all the players, but again, the D-backs, they're a scrappy team, and it's almost a little bit like the 04 Red Sox, where it's just, hey, why not us? It's like we made it in here. Let's see what happens.
Well, and I don't think it's like anything against the D-backs to say like the Rangers have a better lineup. The Rangers probably have a better starting rotation.
1 through 9. Starting rotation, maybe yes. I would maybe give it a flip up.
1 through 5, yes. I would say maybe the Diamondbacks are a little more top heavy. Merrill Kelly, who, and I'm not going to like discount my biases here. I'm a Diamondbacks guy in the NL. Like I love the Diamondbacks because of Torey Lovello and Ketel Marte, who I interviewed when I covered spring ball down there, and the Merrill Kelly trade, when they got Merrill Kelly for Paul Goldschmidt, and everyone cursed Merrill Kelly and Carson Kelly's names, and it's just like, anyway. But Merrill Kelly, Zach Gallen, they're two great starting pitchers. I mean, you're gonna have them at least 4 times, and I wouldn't be surprised if this gets to a game 6 or 7, you're gonna see them again.
Yeah, they're good counters for Evaldi and Montgomery, who are the top 2 guys for the Rangers right now. It's going to be fun tonight, just seeing who goes the longest in this pitching matchup, who can get to the bullpen first. But that Diamondbacks bullpen, from what I saw in that NLCS series, they've got guys that can shorten that game when you only have to get 21 outs because the 8th and 9th inning are shut down. It's like,
well, Pat Sewell, the guy that they got from Seattle, was what a great pickup by Hazen, their GM over there. I mean, it was phenomenal what they've done with that back end of that bullpen, and then their lineup all just kind of plays off one another. Like Christian Walker, you have who's like Adolis Garcia is just gonna bang one out whenever you get one.
Big power bat.
And then you got Corbin Carroll's gonna steal every base he can. Like, I mean, it's just their lineup has come alive so much. It makes you wonder how they lost 78 games in a regular season.
Yeah, it's just kind of tough streaks here and there. I remember hearing somewhere it's like they had an 8-game losing streak sometime during the regular season. The Rangers had one just as bad, where it was like they were losing for a week or if not longer. I think it might have been like 7, 8, 9 games, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
My memory doesn't recall right at the moment, but it's
like right in the beginning of August, I thought.
Yeah, it somewhere in that August stretch. So that's crazy to me that you have 2 teams that hit a bad skid during the regular season, but yet here they are playing for it all.
The D-backs one was like right around the trade deadline. So they were like, are we going to add? Are we going to sell? What are we going to do?
Do we go for it? Do we not?
And so they picked it. So they weren't huge buyers, but they bought those little pieces. They bought the closer, and they didn't send that much away. They bought the setup man. They didn't send that much away. They added a bat here and there. You add Tommy Pham, and you just buy all these little glue guys, and now you have a ship that's all glued together and is trucking along towards a World Series championship. So I think it's going to be a great series. I really do. There's a lot of people that think it's going to be a short series no matter which way it goes. I don't see it that way. I think it's a 6 or 7 gamer, no matter who wins it. But that brings us to who's winning.
looking at everything, and it's tough. I'm with you on the 6 game. I think maybe it goes 5 or 6, somewhere in there. Just the way the Rangers took that ALCS game 7, that is a scary lineup. And when all of those guys are going like that, is Adolis Garcia is the streakiest of them all. But if that has got him in the right mode, where he's hitting along with Simeon and Seager, who had better at bats in game 6s in games 6 and 7, if they're clicking at the right time, look out. They could put up double-digit runs just like they were all the regular season. So I think the Rangers will take it. I think it goes 6. So it will go to Arizona, which luckily, though, we don't have to worry about rainouts or anything like that. Both stadiums have roofs.
I mean, yeah, you got to open them up though in Arizona. We got to get the nice October air, man.
It's October. It's not 1 billion degrees out.
Yeah, man, I wish I could go to those games in Arizona. This Coach's Corner, by the way, is a bar that I worked at right outside of Chase Field. Literally on the corner, right next, like you walk across the street and there's the field.
It's like the Cask and Flagon in Boston.
Exactly. Used to be called Coach's Corner. It was purchased like my senior year or my last year at ASU, and now it's called Crown's Public House. So go visit Crown's Public House if anyone is at Chase Field for games 3, 4, 5. That being said, to me it's going to come down to the third pitcher. It's going to come down to Brandon Pfaadt against Max Scherzer. Who wins game 3? I think wins the series. And the way that goes, who wins game 6? I think wins the series. So if Brandon Pfaadt can pitch like he did against the Phillies, I think that Arizona will win. If Max Scherzer can have any semblance of being Mad Max, I think that the Rangers will win. That being said, I think this is a Rangers in 7 kind of series.
Yeah.
Just kind of like they did. They're gonna have those games where the bats go cold, and the Diamondback pitching is so good that you're gonna have a game where it's 4-2 Diamondbacks, maybe 2 of those games where it's 5-2, 3-2, something like that for the Diamondbacks. So whether that's tonight, whether that's Monday, I don't know when it'll be, but you're going to have a couple of games like that. So I think it's going to be 6 or 7 for the Rangers. I would err on the side of 7, though. Either way, I think it's going to be a great series between 2 pretty evenly matched teams, which is surprising to say as the D-backs come in with a negative run differential on the season.
Yeah, it's kind of a upside down thing, and of course everybody, I remember hearing Bruce Bochy being asked, some people are saying this is an exciting series because it doesn't have that big heavyweight team, and it's just like we were talking about earlier. Bochy was just kind of like, oh, come on. I mean, it's like both these teams have played and earned their spot to be here. So it's just like, yeah, it's going to be a good series. I don't know what everybody's, complaining about.
Yeah, you can't get a better managerial matchup either. Torey Lovello and Bruce Bochy are 2 old heads that like to do their thing. I mean, Torey Lovello's kind of steered a little bit more into the analytics, but Bruce Bochy is a winner through and through, and he's done wonders with this team.
Calmest dude ever. I mean,
Yeah.
It seems like everything else could be crumbling all around, and I'm sure Rangers fans are just like, come on, Boch, do something. And, he's just kind of sitting there like, all right, I'm going to go with my guy and we'll see what happens. And it's just like, man, I aspire to be that calm
BP.
in a tense baseball situation like that.
BP never gets over 50. He's just right here all the time.
Oh, man, yeah.
Just like what they preach in football. Never get too high, never get too low. You're always right here.
Right.
So, all right, speaking of football, let's get to the Cowboys and the Rams. So, Cowboys coming off a bye week. Probably the healthiest they've been all year outside of Trayvon Diggs and Leighton Vander Esch. Tyron Smith popping up on the injury report with a neck a little bit. Didn't see what Jerry said on it about it on 105 The Fan, but he's probably going to play. I mean, he was limited today. So this is probably the healthiest they've been all year, and I expect them to play healthy on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what the offense looks like coming out of the bye week. They looked really sharp when they were getting CeeDee Lamb the ball. So maybe that's the key, and I don't know. Injury that everybody's healthy.
Healthy as you can be. Every the season.
I'm sure everybody's dealing with little bumps and stuff, and little nagging things here and there. Tyler Biotish, that's another guy up on the offensive line that, you kind of worry about a little bit. But Tyron Smith, yeah, I'm not worried about him. He's going to play because it's just, he's always on the injury report because he's got something going on. But
because he's Tyron Smith.
Right. But, and he's, 32, 33, and it's just he's entering the twilight of his career just because, and it's a great career. I'm not discounting that. He's done phenomenal. But, yeah, it's just they drafted Tyler Smith for that reason because it's just like, yep, you are the next great left tackle, and we're going to move you out there as soon as he's done. I'm really interested to see what the offense does, though, because they need to build a head of steam going into their big matchup with Philly next week.
It comes down to, can the offense move the ball?
Yeah.
Can the offense put the ball in the end zone? They've proven that they can move the ball on occasion. They've proven that they can get to the red zone. They just haven't proven that they can get the ball in the end zone.
Right.
And so, against a Rams defense that's a lot better than I think a lot of us expected, as they traded Jalen Ramsey this offseason and Aaron Donald's another year older, they've played with their hair on fire for a lot of these games.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what they look like coming out of the bye week. Are they going to make this offense a little bit more advanced and start taking a few shots down the field? Are they going to try and get Brandon Cooks a little bit more involved? Or are they going to maybe go a little bit more thunder and lightning with Rico Dowdle and see if and try and put Tony Pollard back into that, not gadget role, but more of a change of pace kind of role, because that's where he excelled last year. Like, are you going to see all those things? Are you going to continue to lean into Dak's legs like you did against the Chargers? I don't know any of those questions, but there's so many questions on the offense.
Yeah, I think we'll maybe see, because Dak was asked about that yesterday, getting into the run game a little bit more, having more designed run plays, not the option for it, because that's how he scored that touchdown. He almost, when he pulled it out of Pollard's hand, there was a little loose moment there. But, yeah, he said, sure, want to call it more. I'm not as fast as I used to be, but, if it's there.
Surgically repaired ankle.
Yeah. Well, and it just, if you have that, trick up your sleeve, it's something else that the defense has to think about. Right now, it seems like the Cowboys offense, if you take away one or two things, they kind of become one-dimensional, and then defense becomes a whole lot easier in the NFL. So they got to find – they have all the offensive weapons that you can want for. It's that whole proverbial thing, well, there's only one ball, and you can only spread it around so much.
Yeah. Do you think this is kind of a trap game for him, though, with the Eagles on deck next week?
Yeah, maybe.
Going to Philly?
I think so. And not that they're overlooking it. I mean, to your point of the defense, yes, they lost Jalen Ramsey, but Aaron Donald's still there, and Dak, fully cognizant of that, he made sure to bring that up. It's just like, yeah, he is the focus, still the focus. It doesn't matter if he's a year older. It's just like, you got to find 99 and you got to protect him and block him up, which sometimes has been an issue for the offensive line. I think, again, just because it's like they haven't been all together for that many games just yet. Hopefully, that bye week, it gave them the reps that they needed and just that time to, get that cohesion going.
Sometimes a bye week is exactly what teams need. You need a little reset.
Yeah.
So you get those after a week, you get that kind of few 4 or 5 days off to kind of just relax, be with your family, kind of figure out exactly why you're doing this, what you're playing for, and all that stuff. So a lot of times that can be a nice little reset. I hope that it resets them a little bit and gets them out of some bad habits that they've created on the offense. As far as the defense goes, you have so many people you have to worry about on the Rams offense. I mean, between Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, and luckily Kyron Williams is out, luckily for the Cowboys. You have so many people you have to worry about. It'll be interesting to see if they still play more zone or if they go a little bit more man, which they like to do with Deron Bland and Stephon Gilmore. And if you just be like, all right, you two on those two and we'll handle the rest. Like, I don't know how Dan Quinn's going to do it. But if the defense doesn't set the tone here, I don't know if the offense can set the tone on the other side.
Keep up. Yeah. And something that Dan Quinn said after the Chargers game, it's like, look, we needed to get in that situation where it was like, hey, it was on us. We needed to be in that tense situation where it's like we had to come up with a play in order to seal the game, and they did that. So they have that experience for them, I think. A lot's been made about Micah being consistent. It's like, yeah, he made the big sack when they needed one, but it's just like, dude, where's the pressure like all game and stuff like that? Well, again, kind of like the flip side of Aaron Donald, when it's like when you are the guy, it's just like, well, who are they going to try and neutralize? They're going to try and neutralize Micah Parsons, because then the game becomes a whole lot simpler for the Los Angeles Rams. Luckily for the Dallas defense, they've got a few other guys that can get to the quarterback quickly. I'm curious to see if they can, stuff the run a little bit more, because, it's like maybe that's what the Rams start with to then open up the passing game, I think, because, man, you can body blow the Cowboys defense with the run game.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if Micah doesn't have a sack, just because the Rams offensive line's been kind of a mash unit all season, and they don't have the best tackles in the world. I mean, Noteboom's good, but he's been kind of hit or miss this year. The D-line, which is supposed to be the strong point of this defense, has kind of been a disappointment over the last few weeks. They're not getting that much pressure. They had a lot of pressure on Herbert, but weren't getting home and weren't actually getting sacks on Herbert before the bye week. Tank Lawrence has been a disappointment all year, in my opinion. I mean, he if you're going to double team Micah, which everybody's doing, you need someone else to come up big, and he has not at all. And he needs to kind of come alive this year and in this game to at least free Micah up for some opportunities. Same with Dorrance Armstrong and Mozzie and like all these guys. You have to get pressure so Micah doesn't face a triple team every time.
Right. Well, I'll maybe push back on that a little bit. I mean, the guys are getting pressure. Sure, it may not result in a sack and stuff like that, but I know I've seen stats being thrown out there where it's just like on, so many percentage of the plays and stuff like that, they're getting pressures on the quarterback. And sure, it may not result in a sack, or they may not be hitting whoever it is throwing the ball, but they're getting to them, and it's causing, like we saw at the end of the Chargers game, it's causing those quick throws or errant throws where it gets into the throwing lanes, and the D-backs the defensive backs can get in there and make a play on the ball. So they've been good getting pressure. I think they keep that up. It's just, again, can it happen consistently enough throughout the game to where they can really shut the offense down, the opposing offense down, and impose their will.
So the spread is Cowboys -6, favored by 6 points. 1, do they win? 2, do they cover?
I don't know about covering. I think they win. DeMarcus Ware is going in the Ring of Honor. So a big
former Bronco.
There we go.
Former Bronco.
There we go. Cowboys all-time sacks leader as well.
Super Bowl champion with the Denver Broncos.
I think not that really is going to, bring the juice or anything like that for the defensive guys, but who knows? Maybe he's in there in the locker room and he says a word to, Micah and the defensive guys before they go out there and stuff. I think the Cowboys win. It's not a big one by any means. I think it's maybe within the 3 to 4 point range.
Yeah, I could see this coming down to a field goal either way, or
which I'm fine with, because trot Brandon Aubrey out there, let's kick it and let's go home. Yeah. I mean,
I have him on a few fantasy teams, so I could take a couple of Brandon Aubrey kicks.
He is solid.
Dude, he's good. Like, that's the best thing about the Cowboys season so far, is that there were so many questions coming in about this rookie kicker, and he's been dynamite.
Nobody has had to talk about him, just when mentioned here and there of just, how good he's been. And then after that, it's nothing. So
that's the best thing. That's what you want as any special teams player. You don't want anyone talking about you.
Nope.
I think Cowboys probably are up like a touchdown going into the final possession, or up 3, maybe a possession going into the final possession, and defense makes a play, kind of like in the Charger game. Mm-hmm. That's probably how I see this one going, just because it seems like every time Matthew Stafford has a drive nowadays, he ends up getting sacked, and it's like a 3rd and 18, and he has to try and bomb one to Cooper Kupp, and it just sometimes it doesn't work. Yeah. So I think the Cowboys do win, though. I mean, I would be surprised if they don't. However, they've surprised me a couple times already this year. So let's get to UTSA. So UTSA, they have East Carolina this week. I don't see the point in talking about that one too much, just because I think they're going to win that game. They're 18.5 point favorites. Even if they don't cover and they win by 10, it's not really a huge shock. So I wanted to look at something else. Lisa Campos, the AD at UTSA, sent out a release earlier this week saying that UTSA, the student body voted overwhelmingly against a gradual raising of student athletic fees. So that would have added about $5 million to UTSA's athletic budget by the 2027-28 season. They're now in a bigger conference, which means you have to spend more money, which means you need more money to actually compete and be in these larger conferences. And being in the AAC, they now have to compete with guys like Tulane and SMU and Memphis, who spend $80 to $100 million a year on their athletic programs. To me, it says that the UTSA student body doesn't give a crap about their athletic teams. And I know Lisa, in her quote, said, "I don't believe this is a vote against athletics." But when you have a guy like Jeff Traylor, who has come out and has been basically 3/4 of his job is recruiting and getting money for the program,
right?
And then you ask your student body for a gradual increase, which I don't know necessarily what the increase was per student on tuition, but when you're asking your student body to help out a little bit and they all 71% vote no, it's not really a vote of confidence in your athletic programs.
Well, I mean, this is kind of a weird. I mean, yeah, okay, a college and an athletic department asking for more money. Color me shocked.
Yeah, I mean, it's not new.
No, and I think this is the second time that a athletic fee has been voted down by the student body in recent memory here by UTSA. Now, just one question that I had. So the $5 million figure that you mentioned here, it would have raised. Would that have been the total $5 million by the end of that year?
It would have been $5 million additional yearly by that year. So like they would have gradually increased it. So it would have been less than $5 million over the next 5 years. So but when you got to the full increase in the 27-28 year, it would have been added $5 million to their budget.
Yeah.
Keep in mind they have 34,478 students or something of that nature.
But of course, when people hear, okay, your tuition's going up, okay, what's it going for? And it's this, and well, how many students of that 34,000 undergraduate body are actually playing athletics? Not that many. So when people hear, hey, it's going to be more money and it's going to be added to your tuition, people are going to balk at that. I think it's just the way it goes. Plus, I think in this day and age of NIL, and Harvey Najum just donated a bunch of money, millions of dollars, I think $2 million at least, for this year and next year, something like that. And it's at the sole discretion of
Jeff
Traylor. It's like when you have donations and possibilities like that happening, it's like, sure, more money is always nice, but they're just a few more wins away or conference championships away from people really buying in and being like, okay, yeah, here's more NIL money getting pumped in.
But the point is, like, the editor-in-chief of their student newspaper, and I saw the quote in the San Antonio Express News. I didn't want to put her name down here because I don't want to do that to her or anything, but she said, quote, "I definitely thought that this would be leaning towards no because most of UTSA doesn't care about athletics." Like, when you have students saying that about your program, and you have the community like Harvey Najum donating so much, and you have Jeff Traylor pouring his heart and soul into this, and Frank Harris coming back for his 7th year, and you have all of these people who are pouring their blood, sweat, and tears into programs like the football program or the basketball program, even the track and field or volleyball or whoever, insert team name here. It's just to me, it's kind of a slap in the face. But that's coming from a former college athlete, someone who cares deeply about college athletics.
Sure. Well, I think a lot of people do. To say that, the UTSA student body as a whole doesn't care about athletics, I think that's a little misleading. That sounds like it's a column, that's not necessarily a report on like what's happened. Because you look at UTSA football games, the student section, there's a bunch of people there. So sure, they may not be going to a bunch of the other, athletic games or something like that. I know the basketball program, especially the men's, has had a tough time. But it's not to say that, there's students that don't care about UTSA athletics. They just don't care about having to pay more money.
Yeah, and that's fair. But if you want the best for your programs, Texas A&M isn't Texas A&M without the boosters and people.
No, but I mean, look, they have a athletic history of 100+ years. UTSA has been playing football for 12. And yes, they've been playing other sports for a lot longer, and they've been doing well. They've had success at various levels, in whatever conference that they're in, they've done that. But again, it's just UTSA hasn't been around that long. It's going to take some. Again, it's the whole thing of we got to know now, is Wemby the GOAT? Well, okay, it's the same thing here. It's like, yes, everybody wants it now, and if it wasn't done yesterday, it's too late. But it's going to take some time, and I think how many alumni does UTSA have that have struck it big in their industry elsewhere, where they've got buku amounts of money that it's just like, well, it's too much for me. Maybe I need to give it to somebody. And, oh, yeah, well, let me give it to my alma mater here so they can, upgrade everything and get competitive at the competitive level that they need for athletics.
That was Zach's way of saying, Matt, calm down.
Nah. I mean, it just I get that, yeah, it's frustrating and people see it, oh yeah, they need the money. But again, okay, $5 million, but it wasn't going to happen until 2027, 28.
Yeah, it would have been $2 million every year until then.
Frank Harris is going to be long done playing, and so is Eddie Lee Marburger and Owen McCown and all those guys.
So is Jeff Traylor.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, I would love it if Jeff Traylor was still around here in 2027, Hopefully he is, because that means UTSA would have won a lot of football games and hopefully like 3 more American Conference championships. But, if he keeps going, with the success that he has and the coaching jobs that he's doing, especially with like having all these injuries and missing key guys, but still winning games, another program is going to come and just be like, hey, you want the staff, you want the payment, you want to pay your assistant coaches, you want the right players. Here we go. We can give this to you.
Someone's gonna throw a boatload of money at him.
Exactly. They're gonna offer a package that is just gonna go. It's gonna be too good to pass up.
Watch Jim Harbaugh be out in Michigan and Jeff Traylor step in.
There we go. I like it.
I like it. Jeff, I won't be mad.
Instead of sign stealing, they're gonna steal our coach.
Yeah, bastards. All right, let's get to the Longhorns real quick. Longhorns playing BYU. They are without Quinn Ewers. They are still 19. Actually, I think it got up to 20-point favorites just in the last hour and a half that I've written this rundown. It's now 20-point favorites over BYU in RFK. So how big of a deal is Quinn Ewers not being there?
It's big, but they are really big on their quarterback room. Malik Murphy is a dude.
Yeah.
I remember
he's built like a truck.
Yeah, no, I remember seeing him down here at the Alamo Bowl practice last year, and it's just like, I know they got Quinn, but it's just like, when is this guy going to see some playing time? I mean, it's like the dude can chuck the ball like the entire field, and it looks like nothing. And of course it's first game action and everything, real live game action, where it's a game that actually counts and it's not mop-up duty in the fourth quarter and a blowout. So I think it'll be fine. Plus, they're all there in the room, going through practice together and, okay, look for this and here's what I see and everything. So I'm sure Quinn's there coaching them up and everything. It's big because, I mean, yeah, you're missing the guy who helped beat Alabama for you. But I don't think Texas is going to struggle. I mean, maybe they do, but you also got quarterback's best friend and a great run game. Jonathan Brooks is going to, be your safety valve. So,
yeah, I mean, they have a solid team through and through, and they're the 7th ranked team in the nation for a reason.
Top 1-loss team in the country. Yeah,
exactly. They're the best 1-loss team in the country, like you just said, and that's not all because of their quarterback. They have a great defense.
Yep.
They have great weapons. They have a great decent offensive line. They have great running backs. I mean, they're stacked up and down the roster. Just because you're missing your quarterback doesn't mean that you're going to fall off the wagon or fall off the edge of the earth. Mm-hmm. I still think it is a big deal just because Quinn is a top 7 quarterback in the nation, at least according to a lot of draft evaluators and on who's going to be going in the NFL draft this next year. I do think it's a huge deal for Malik Murphy, though, because you have Arch Manning sitting behind you.
Yeah, waiting in the wings.
And if you throw 2 picks in the first half, there's going to be a lot of chance against you in this first half. And then even then, coming into this offseason, you're going to want to look at some film, and if you're transferring or if Arch is transferring or with this transfer portal, you need to put good film on tape every single time you can. And so having good plays, being able to look back at this BYU game and say, yeah, I threw for 4 touchdowns and 350 yards, and I'm looking to get out of here because I'm already being replaced is a big deal for him.
Yeah, that's motivation for sure, yes. And I think looking at it from a team perspective, it's just like, if they still want to have a shot at winning a Big 12 championship, they need to win while Quinn is out. So then that way they can get back and still be in the picture of a Big 12 championship come around December, which I think they'll do because they're going to be favored, I think, pretty much in every game the rest of the way on their schedule. So, I think, and Malik's been in the system, he kind of knows it, and I think Sark's going to help him along the way and everything, just with play calling and stuff. So, and like you said, they've got a great team. There's weapons all over the place. Xavier Worthy, Jordan Winnington, Adonai Mitchell. It's just like it's an embarrassment of riches. It's an embarrassment of riches for Texas. So I think they're going to do just fine. Plus, being back at home, that helps. So yeah, I do agree with you. If it goes wonky or if it's just they start getting nervous in that second quarter, people are going to be calling. But who knows? Maybe it's like a 2-quarterback system where it's like they can rotate the guys. It's like, all right, you get a couple drives and the other guy gets a couple drives, and it just flip flops.
Speaking of 2-quarterback systems, what is this Tennessee Titans game going to look like on Sunday? You see that they're playing Malik Willis and Will Levis. They're playing both of them. How do you do that in the NFL?
Well, who knows? I mean, the Tennessee Titans are just, I don't know.
I know
they're there.
It's just, I saw that and I was like, what the hell is happening?
It's also the AFC South, so it's the same thing. What with right? Do I have that right? AFC? No.
Yeah, they're the AFC South.
Okay, so they're there with the Texans and the Saints, and
no, the Saints are NFC.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. Yeah, Jags. So Jags,
Colts.
Texans. Yeah, it's just kind of like, it's like I really think the Texans, man, they can sneak into a play.
CJ Stroud's so good.
Yeah. So it's like, man, it's go out and win a division title.
So do you think Longhorns beat BYU?
Handily.
But as you look forward to K-State next week, huge game to get to Big 12.
Is that one in Manhattan, Little Apple?
Let me look real quick. I think so, but let me double check. Do you think that they?
I don't have the Texas
think that the Longhorns cover the 19?
So Houston gave them fits. It looked like they were going to cruise in the first half, and then back comes Houston. It was a tie game in the third quarter. I don't know much about BYU. Of course, another Big 12 newcomer and everything. Sure, maybe they are peeking ahead to Kansas State a little bit, a team that also gives them fits. Okay, so 2 home games back to back. I think they're going to be just fine against BYU. I don't. Oklahoma's fully past them now. I mean, it should have been that way in Houston because it's like they had a bye week and then they played Houston. I think BYU they're going to cruise. They'll be just fine.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. I think BYU will probably cover the 20 on like a backdoor situation, but
yeah,
it won't be. It's not like this game's not going to be in question.
It's going to be in hand. It's they shouldn't have any issues.
All right, dude. That's all we got for everybody today on the Friday edition of the Sneakers and Cleats podcast. We're going to go get ready for a busy night of high school football and Rangers and Spurs and you name it. We're going to go get ready for it right now.
We're 3/4 of the way to a sports equinox tonight, I guess.
Yeah, but like I said, there's college football. Charlotte's playing tonight, man.
All right. Hey, American Conference foe there,
Biff. Is there anybody better than Biff?
What a name.
Charlotte. What a name. Man.
I just think of Biff and Back to the Future.
But he was coaching the other day in like a cutoff shirt and like a V-neck cutoff, and I was just like,
there's a vibe.
What a legend.
Yeah, like, bringing that look to the sideline.
Yeah, I love it. Remember, you can download, rate, review, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, tell a friend, tell an enemy. Just let them know.
Spread the word.
Spread the word. We'll be back on Monday as always. Until then, have a great weekend. Go Devils. They are playing against who are they playing against this week? Oh, Oregon State. So go Devs.
What I tell you about Arizona State, they're surprising some people, man.
Dude, they should have beat Washington last week.
And they were in it with USC, like I told you they would be.
They've covered all their Pac-12 games so far.
They're in it.